The Dad.
Rock and roll!
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
So, it looks like the OT is officially taking over Galaxy's Edge. Apparently, according to some people that are interested in the parks that have contacted me, and this was nothing that was reported by the press, but they've completely surrounded Rise of the Resistance with a wall so you can't see what they're doing in there. And that was the area of the park where you would still be able to see Ray Blow running around. Well, it doesn't exactly look like that's going to happen now. And the reason why is because no one can see in. They've completely quarantined it from Disney visitors. And it makes sense to me now that they're switching over, as, in my opinion, Josh D'Amaro is in the process of becoming CEO of Disney. Now, I've heard some black pill subscriber crying that Dana Walden is going to be the co-CEO. That's not what they're doing. This is the Walt Disney Company, not one of its subsidiaries, which Lucasfilm is. And in the previous video, I talked about how Dave Filoni might, quote, be head, quote, of Lucasfilm, but he's a young guy. He's never actually directed a movie in his life. And his so-called Avengers movie isn't going to happen. What it looks like to me is that they're actually trying to get back on track and back to where George had everything heading. Now, there isn't any prequel stuff yet, but we all know perfectly well that should they expand the park, if this is successful, into prequel era, and because it looks like Batu's maybe Tatooine, you could put young Anakin running around. You could put Anakin Padawan running around, right? You could put him in the park, too. You could put young Obi-Wan and Padme and, everybody. And that was important in the prequels. And then you would have basically the park ready to go, in my opinion. But the OT is the key. And because Kennedy era decided to discard and disgrace the male heroes for Rey Palpatine, Kennedy's skinny vegan brunette avatar, British landed gentry avatar, I should add, they had nothing but a failure. And if you look at, would you want to go to this park and hang out and be stuck looking at Rey? No, you don't. You don't want to be stuck looking at Kyle Ron. God, look, these characters became an insult and an injury to the franchise, right? And I think the actors were disgraced, but as far as I'm concerned, I'd rather not ever see them again in anything, after the crap fans have been through. The idea of getting PTSD is not out of the realm of possibility since 2018, when everything started going really sideways. But, we have to watch and see what happens. I mean, I dare to think we're going to see people leaving Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm being turned into more of a leaner, meaner machine than it has been. Eliminating what's left of the story group would help. You don't really need people like that if you contract out to actual true writers who actually can do a really good job. Anyway, but yes, things are changing and it's all for the better. Let's talk more on the other side.
Yeah, when are you going to stop blighting the environment with this atrocity? My God, can't you see that it wants to die? Let it go.
I've been basking in it for the last 30 minutes. My God, I feel like a seafront village after the Vikings have left.
So difficult. Excuse me, Niles, but I've got news for you. Copernicus called, and you are not the center of the universe.
So this is what it looks like from the outside, looking in at Rise of the Resistance, or what's left of it. It looks like it's going to be a very comprehensive changeover. They said that they don't have a timeline for how long this so-called maintenance is going to take, which is an interesting word to use because maintenance usually means upkeep or fixing, in my opinion. And it's newspeak for we're fixing what we broke. You know, when one of the vice presidents of Imagineering goes on a podcast and says the reason why Galaxy's Edge at the beginning was all about the prequel or the sequel trilogy, it's because Kennedy walked into Iger's office and demanded they change the park over to the sequels because they had more movies ahead than behind. And that's where the failure started. Letting her do anything more than organize bookshelves and get coffee was obviously a big mistake. And it's reflected in where the franchise is right now. Now, again, you can sit there and blame Bob Iger, too. I think in the end, in 2023, they should have announced she was stepping back and going on hiatus. But for some reason, they decided not to. And it really upset me that they did that. I think fans have the right to know where people like Kathleen Kennedy are and where the franchise and where the company is. I mean, I think, you know, shareholders have the right to know. And when you don't make what's going on known, people start to ask major league questions and start making shit up in their heads. Hence why you've got the black pills, led by Nerdrotic, and the blue pills, led by Star Wars Explained, making shit up out of whole cloth. If you're not transparent, you're going to have a problem with messaging, right? But we've got changes coming, and again, the fact that Rise of the Resistance is down for an undetermined amount of time says everything. They said, oh no, don't worry, prequel characters will be around there. No, they're not. If that's the case, then why is it going, you have the right to ask questions. And again, lack of transparency is, I think, the biggest issue Disney has. I mean, there's a time when you have to say, sequel trilogy didn't work, it's time to put it back in the past and walk away from it, close the door on it, and make the things that the fans wanted and acknowledge what the fans loved. And that's all you have to do. If you do that, people will go cool and they'll be happy. Sometimes I wonder if they're still protecting Kennedy, which, I mean, if you look at what Matt Bellany has said about her, she's a laughingstock in Hollywood anymore. So there you go. I mean, she basically let the greatest film franchise of all time get absolutely devastated, and she squandered any chance of making a big impact on Star Wars that was good. She squandered it over politics and resentment and you name it. But anyway, Rise of the Resistance is going to change into something else. And it's going to be very interesting the next 6 or 7 months going forward. Steph signing out. See you around the galaxy.
Ready, everybody?
All set.
Here we go again.